Hey guys, how's it going? In this video, we're going to be doing an unboxing and I'm going to give my first impressions on the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 5G. This is on sale at the time of this video. I'll leave a link down in the description below if you want to check it out for yourself. The price is $1,000. For those of you who don't know, there are two models of the Note 20 5G. We also have the Note 20 Ultra 5G, which comes in at $300 more. But let's go ahead and check out the Note 20 5G in Mystic Green. On top, we have our phone. I'm super excited to check out that Mystic Green color. Let's see what else we get in the box here. We have our 25-watt super fast charger. We have a USB Type-C charging cable. We have our SIM ejection tool. And inside this rather large box, we have some general paperwork. And that's actually it for everything inside of the box. There is normally a pair of nice AKG wired earbuds included with these flagship phones from Samsung, but for whatever reason, here in the US, they're not included. It's a head scratcher to me for a $1,000 phone. This should definitely be included. But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and check out the Note 20 in Mystic Green. Wow, this actually looks a lot nicer than I would have expected it to. Let's go ahead and get rid of the plastic. Check this thing out. This is awesome. This Mystic Green, this Note 20 in general looks amazing. So the first thing we have to, of course, address is the plastic back here. We have a polycarbonate backing on this phone opposed to the glass back of the Note 20 Ultra. So the Galaxy Z Flip here, having that frosted glass, the similar setup as on the Note 20 Ultra. From a physical standpoint, just looking at it, they look identical. There's really no difference to the eye. But when you do run your finger over it, on the frosted glass, there's definitely more of a glide. It's more slippery than it is here on the Note 20. So honestly, that could be seen as a pro, that it has much more of a grippy feel, that you don't feel like this is going to slip out of your hands or anything. I think that plastic back is definitely a positive in that aspect. And also, just to generally address this whole plastic debate, I've been using all of these plastic backed phones from Samsung for the majority of this year. Having this plastic back and aluminum sidings, it's the same story here on the Galaxy S10 Lite and the Note 10 Lite. So this is not anything new. It is new to this more premium price range. But to be completely honest, now that it's here in hand, now that I'm seeing it, now that I'm holding this in hand, after tapping around the phone, hearing if there's any hollow spots, this is a very solid phone. This feel is fine. It feels very similar to the frosted glass that I've just discussed. So honestly, from visual, from physical, it's a very similar experience. I think this whole plastic back debate is really not that huge of a deal. I think a lot of people are overreacting. And honestly, just from past videos on covering phones with plastic backs, there are a lot of people out there that actually prefer this plastic backing, so that if you do drop this phone or something happens to it, you don't have to worry about the back of your phone cracking and shattering and having to pay hundreds of dollars to replace the backing of your phone. This is honestly a perfectly fine setup with those aluminum sidings, in addition to this really nice looking plastic back, in addition to a really cool looking camera module. Have some really cool looking silver rings here around the cameras themselves. Honestly, this looks and feels like a premium smartphone experience to me. Let's go ahead and boot up the Note 20 5G, and also just taking a quick tour of the rest of the device. We have our power button and volume buttons on the right side. On the left side, we have nothing. On the top, we have a mic and our SIM card tray. This does not include a micro SD card slot. And on the bottom, we have another mic, Type-C port, speaker grill, and on the left side here we have our S Pen, which lefties rejoice. I'm so happy that the S Pen is on the left side this year. It honestly really never happens that often that a product accommodates to a lefty more than it does a righty, but I'm certainly not complaining. I'm super happy about this. Let me know what your thoughts are on the S Pen being on the left side down in the comments below. Taking a first look here at the 6.7 inch 1080p AMOLED display, I'm really liking the lack of bezels here. I think this has like an 89% screen to body ratio. And I couldn't help but notice the larger hole punch display. It's not that it's actually larger, it's the same size as the one found on the Note 10 Plus. But you can see here, for example, on the Note 10 Lite, that the hole punch cutout is significantly smaller. It may not look like that much of a difference here on camera, but here in person, it definitely makes a difference. There's just a little more space in between the upper bezel and that hole punch. But all in all, the hole punch is fine and it's much better than any iPhone notch. It's also worth noting that this Note 20 definitely has more of a rounded finish on the corners than it does your standard Note devices like the Note 10 Plus here. This is definitely an obvious box-shaped design. And here on the Note 20, it still does have that overall box look, but it just feels like it has a little bit more of rounded corners, which does feel nice in the hand. All right, so I've been using the Galaxy Note 20 for a little while here, and I gotta tell you guys, I am really enjoying this phone so far. From a performance standpoint, this is exactly what you'd expect out of a Samsung flagship. Everything is extremely fast, extremely smooth. Opening and closing apps is super quick. Getting into the phone with the fingerprint sensor or the face recognition works great. I'm also really enjoying the haptics on this phone. So when you're typing a text message and you're getting those little vibrations, or when you go to delete text, or when you receive a text message and your phone vibrates, it just has a really nice feel to it. I feel like they've really fine-tuned this on some of these newer generation phones. The sound quality and volume is great on here so far. After initially listening to a few tracks on Spotify here, everything sounds really good. We do have a speaker up here in the earpiece, even though you might not be able to see it. It really sounds great. I am also really enjoying the S Pen experience so far. Of course, that mystic green color does come over to the S Pen itself. It is a nice, cool new look. And there's some new air gestures that were introduced here. Hold down the button and do a certain motion to open certain applications, which seems pretty cool, but honestly, I just don't really use the air gestures. Really, what I use the S Pen for is on-screen activity, so actually interacting with the phone, and that experience has been awesome. It's not as good as on the Note 20 Ultra, but honestly, to the naked eye and what you're going to be using it for, it is honestly super fast, super responsive. This hasn't really been talked about too much, but it's actually almost twice as fast as it is on the Note 10 Plus. It still seems really fast, really responsive. So to see that the latency is almost twice as good on the Note 20 here over the Note 10 Plus, that should tell you enough that it's going to be a great writing experience. Also, the Notes app has been greatly enhanced. There's a lot more functionality here within this, other than it just being a basic spot to write down your things. First of all, you can see that we have a black background here, which is new. Usually you just have a white background. You can actually go into the settings and choose any background color you'd like to write against. Also, another feature that I really like here is that it's very easy to jump into multiple pages of notes. So let's say you're writing a lot and you fill up your first page of notes. You can easily scroll down to your next page. And when you write on that next page, it's going to recognize that, and then you're going to be able to scroll down to even more pages. But it's just cool knowing that if you want to sit down, write a lot of things, you have a lot on your mind, you're not limited to just that one page. You can easily just scroll down, write some more, and this just keeps going for as long as you need it to. But first impressions here, I'm honestly really impressed with this phone. I feel like this phone got a lot of hate before reviewers could even get their hands on it, simply because it's not offering everything the Note 20 Ultra does. Probably the biggest omission being that this only has a 60 Hz refresh rate display opposed to the 120 Hz refresh rate, but it's not trying to be the Note 20 Ultra. From an average user perspective, this is a perfectly fine experience. Having that upgraded processor just makes this an overall super fast and smooth experience. You might think, just from other tech reviewers and their viewpoints on the Note 20 Ultra, that this Note 20 is a dumbed down phone. It's an inferior phone to the Note 20 Ultra, but this phone on its own, it looks amazing. It has a really good look to it. I love the design of the camera module. Having this matte finish on the back means that all of your fingerprints are going to be hidden. On some of these other plastic backed phones that Samsung has been releasing, the fingerprints are just a nightmare. They show up right away. They're all over the place. But with this matte finish, you really don't see any of the fingerprints at all. You are going to get fingerprints on that glossy finish of the lens, but it is easy to just wipe that down. It is also worth mentioning that this Note 20 is a thick boy. It is actually thicker than the Note 20 Ultra, so while a lot of people were complaining that the camera bump on the Note 20 Ultra is a lot more thicker and out of the way, this phone overall is a thicker device. It's 8.3 millimeters opposed to the 8.1 millimeters of the Note 20 Ultra. And there is an ever so slightly smaller battery in this Note 20. This has a 4,300 milliamp hour battery, and that's going to bring up a point that I want to make about this phone that I haven't heard elsewhere, and it really makes sense for why Samsung priced this phone at $1,000. If you look back to the Note 10, the smaller Note 10 retailed for $950. So this coming in at $50 more, I think, in my opinion, is offering a lot more than that original smaller Note 10 did. First and foremost, of course, the screen size. I honestly didn't give much time at all to that Note 10 just because that smaller screen size just didn't really fit with the Note line in my opinion. When you have the S Pen available to you and you want a huge canvas to write and draw and things like that, you just want to have a larger screen with your Note. That's just how I feel in general about the Note devices. I think Samsung took note to this, and that's why their lower end Note device this year is coming in at a 6.7-inch display size. There is obviously a reason why Samsung makes so many phones with this 6.7-inch display size. It is a good overall screen size without it being too huge and bulky. You're also getting that 5G connectivity, you're getting the improved S Pen and that improved latency. You're getting a greatly improved battery size. The Note 10's battery size was 3,500 milliamp hours, extremely small in comparison to the 4,300 milliamp hour battery here. We have that improved chipset and processor, and it really does make a difference. It's about a 20 to 30% increase in overall performance, and I have noticed this in my personal experience going from the 855 Plus to the 865 Plus here in the Note 20. We also have the flat display design here, which I know there's been a lot of flack online for phones having those curved edges for accidental touches. With this Note 20, you don't have to worry about that. So all those things considered, for just $50 more than the original smaller Note 10, you are definitely getting a lot here. But again, first impressions here, super impressed. Yes, it is disappointing that we don't have the 120 Hz, but all other things considered, this is definitely a premium flagship smartphone experience, and I'm really excited to bring you guys more content on this Note 20, which initially here just seems to be getting a lot of hate. But what are your thoughts on the Galaxy Note 20 5G? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to the Shane Symonds YouTube channel today and hitting that bell icon so you don't miss the next video. I hope to see you guys around for the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.